Hey there, everybody. This is the Bones and Tub Show. We are brought to you by no one in particular, because advertisements suck.
Yeah, they do.
We are brought to you, however, by Catherine, Marie Doherty, Evelyn, and Agris Girl, our 3 patrons at patreon.com/bones and tubs. And we don't have, anything else. We're not trying to sell you a mattress. We're not trying to tell you anything about beard oil or...
No special food boxes or anything like that.
No.
We're brought to you, just like PBS, by viewers like you.
And this is the Bones and Tub Show.
The Bones and Tub Show.
And sets another day. Billions will kneel and pray. Anything to escape.
We're going to talk about it. We'll continue to talk about it.
We're going to keep talking about what we were talking about before the show started.
Talking about what we were talking about that we're about to talk about.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking has died. Oh, this is no good.
How long ago did he die?
That's better. Last night.
Oh, no. I meant, the first time.
Like when he really died? Oh,
Yeah.
that was like back in the 80s sometime.
Whatever, they had him on some sort of life support where it just kept his body looking
So
alive.
now everybody, if you look at your Facebook feed, click to it now, you're going to find that everybody is mourning the death of a Muppet.
Yeah. Who had their hand up his ass was my question.
Yeah.
There was one interesting theory that I liked, too, that let's say he somehow managed to defy the odds. He had ALS. We just found out through Mr. Soul, the man with no soul, that he was diagnosed at 21. On here, the ALS website says most people die within 3 to 5 years of being diagnosed, and less than 10% of people live more than 10 years.
Nice.
And he lived.
I didn't even know there was an ALS website.
Of course there is.
We should have squatted on that www and then sold it later.
Yeah. Rest in peace, StephenHawking.com.
Yeah. May your Muppet rest in peace.
One good theory I heard was that he was spearheading in that chair of his the investigation into that cigar-shaped craft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that they killed him because he was about to reveal something.
You see, here's the thing, though. And you guys at home who are just, you just hear us start spouting off, talking mass shit about a dude that's dead. Understand it doesn't come from nowhere. My animosity towards him comes from the fact, quote from him that said, quote via his computer, that free will, just like God, is long dead.
You are a slave to your genes the same way I'm a slave to my chair.
Exactly. More or less. Ever since then, I have had no love for that man.
Yeah. Scientism.
Yeah.
So, how did he become famous? Was he more famous because of his disease or because of his knowledge?
Brief History of Time.
Because I need to know
that first
more.
book he came out with,
Yeah.
that was... that's where it exploded. That was the real Stephen Hawking, by the way. That was the actual Stephen Hawking
Before he died.
Before he died.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. The Brief History of Time was his first big book. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of I guess it was more of a layman's way of explaining the crazy theories in quantum physics that he was talking about at the time that nobody understood. But he wrote the book in a way that people were able to get a better grasp of what he was actually talking about. You didn't have to have a master's degree in quantum physics to understand what he was getting at.
Well, like the guy that does the universe stuff, the one
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He puts it in terms that people understand.
Yeah. Or Carl Sagan, for that matter.
How old was he when he wrote the book, then? That's the questions.
6.
How about this CNN breaking news? France to set age of sexual consent at 15.
Yeah, Brett.
I heard somebody... I saw an article literally last night about people talking about... Where was that at? It was in the UK. They're talking about dropping the age of consent down to 10.
Maybe it's to free Julian Assange from his phone.
That
way they don't need to extradite him back and fuck his eyeballs out for leaking important information.
True story.
Which no one pays attention to now. It is still going strong. The
Yeah.
WikiLeaks thing.
He's still in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Yeah, and then no one's talking about it at all. And then what's the other guy? The Snowden is in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that dude's just staying in Russia. That's all there is to
well,
it.
you have to stay in Russia, and I'm sure he's, it's not probably a bad gig.
He really doesn't want to get forced to have a sex change to get a pardon for his crimes.
Yeah,
like Chelsea Manning.
Well, it's different now. We got a different head.
But everyone from the right was screaming he was a traitor.
Yeah.
And everyone from the other side was, screaming the government was bad, and it was only a libertarian middle ground that thought that he actually did the right thing. And there's not enough of us that are sane in the middle to...
Logical enough to be able to be like, you know what? No, he was right.
Well, what are you going to punish one cog in the giant machine? Like, you can't... It's more important than him.
You have to punish the cog because there is no machine.
He was the squeaky cog.
Yeah.
You gotta kill the squeaky
If you bring
cog.
attention to the machine, you must therefore die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 90% of the WikiLeaks stuff was emails that was above everybody's head because they were taken out of context, too. I'm sure there was more information there than... Because, if you read through them, it was Ugandan embassy this of we're going to do this land or timber deals.
Going to have those 6-year-olds in the hot tub for you later for some entertainment.
Yeah.
Uganda, hot tub entertainment with children. I mean, it's potato, really.
Love ordering Ugandan pizza.
Yeah. What was that?
Favorite pizza.
The nut sauce.
It's like a deep dish.
Did you do me a favor and turn that
I turned it off, yeah. I fucked myself on that one.
I'm not mad at you.
Our friend John Cooper decided to tell us that we didn't know already that fucking Stephen Hawking is dead. So unless you've been under a fucking rock for the last 20 minutes, Stephen Hawking's dead, everybody.
Even Lady Bones told me that this morning. She's like, did you hear that Stephen Hawking was dead? And I was like,
I'm so fucking sad.
I was awake last night when it happened. Because I don't sleep, I wait.
Well, I mean, I don't... What has he done in the last 10 years? I mean, you see all this outpouring, but
he's
20
only,
years.
In the last 20 years, he's only, in all reality, if you want to know what he's really done, nothing. Like, and at least when it comes to...
He was a mouthpiece for scientism.
He wasn't advancing anything or anything like that. He was merely postulating and theorizing things. Like, he said, he came out like 3 or 4 years ago and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't be broadcasting our whereabouts and our technology to aliens out into the universe that could see us and then exploit that.
Hashtag Christopher Columbus.
Yeah. What about the scientific community? I wonder how they really feel about his work. Because he's probably at the point of fame and it's too dangerous to say he's an idiot. Like, I wonder if anybody's going to,
Well, see, half the problem is he suffers from the same thing that Albert Einstein suffered from, where more than half of his theories that he's postulated have never been proven, simply because we don't have the technology to prove them in the first place.
Exactly. Well, no different than the...
Which now we've come to an extent with Albert Einstein to find out that he was, for the most part, right about his theories when it came to relativity and whatnot.
Well, but Einstein also, I don't know, maybe he was, he died at a point where I don't know what his fame was. I mean, granted, he could speak out against things. He signed that anti-nuclear weapon thing right after the war to try to get everybody to say they weren't going to use nuclear weapons and, don't spread that for the Cold War and stuff. So, I mean, he did, the people listened to him, they knew who Einstein was already. But he took a political stance to become famous. Hawking was really only famous because of his disease. I mean, I think for the basic person, because how many people do you know that have actually read the book but still know Stephen Hawking as a guy in the chair?
Right.
He's that really brilliant guy that can't walk.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's walking irony is what he is. You know what I mean?
Rolling.
Like, that's like okay. There you go. Well, yeah. Sorry, I fucked that up. He's rolling irony because it's like he's the proverbial Beethoven of science because
Not the memes already. The memes.
He's the Ironsides. Remember the TV show Ironsides? Where the guy was a detective in a wheelchair.
They've already got memes of him.
Science version of Ironsides.
he's the proverbial Beethoven of science because Beethoven for his last 3 or 4 symphonies was almost completely deaf.
Yeah, but he still knew what he was
But he
doing.
still knew what he was doing. Same thing with Stephen Hawking. You have somebody who can't even feed himself.
I'm putting it on Instagram. I
Can't
can't
do it.
I can't help myself.
And you know what's going to come out with all this Me Too movement? I guarantee you Stephen Hawking felt up a nurse at some point. We're going to have this whole Me Too thing
Right.
with all these nurses coming forward.
He moved his
Stephen
mouth in such a way to
Hawking
make the chair
would
like
rub
rubber
his
thighs.
chair. Yeah, he would get his chair over onto her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we've talked about on the show our idea about how the Stephen Hawking we've known for the better part of 30 years isn't actually Stephen Hawking.
Right.
That it was an imposter. Because, if you look at photos from him in the 80s and stuff like that, there definitely is a difference in, like, appearance that got brought on. Now, you could say it was because of the ALS, but there's such a difference in his appearance that it's just...
Well, have anybody checked the Guinness Book of ALS records? How long has been the longest life with ALS?
He is.
He's the number one.
He was the only one. If you look at all the other ones based on age, past discovering the disease,
Yeah, like Lou Gehrig died almost right away.
Yeah.
it might like go up, a certain amount. But then his was just like the mountaintop. There's nothing in between him and...
Well, what about a guy that was batting 300 and was peak physical condition and died in a year and a half after he was diagnosed?
Yeah.
And played a full baseball season.
And mind
died.
you...
Do you think Hawking was physically, that good of genes from a baseball player to him?
That's what we're saying. Like,
no
How
way.
would he...
this dude died a long time ago. You're celebrating the death of a Muppet.
So you think that someone's been... But, okay, so then what was the point of that?
Because they needed a mouthpiece for scientism. They needed somebody to, like...
Because it's not real science, some of it. What they're engaging in now with a lot of this science shit is scientism. It's its own religion. He was like the Jesus of the scientism movement. It's like you said, the quote, what was it? Your free will is just as dead as God or something?
Yeah.
So basically saying that you have no free will. You're a slave to your genes the same way he is a slave to the guy he pays to push on his stomach to make him fart.
All right. Yeah, I guess that makes some sense, except for when do you think that idea has started to spread? Like they needed a figurehead. When did they think, we're going to save this guy? Because obviously you don't live longer than 3 or 4 years. Do you think that was in the works from the very beginning? I mean, there had to be
I think it happened when he died. I bet he died pretty quick after they discovered it, and then they were like looking at him, God damn it.
Well, see, I think
Wait
the
a
thing
minute.
is, because then you could postulate, why didn't they just carry on with, like, say, someone like Carl Sagan to take over that mantle of being the head of the, that order?
Well, who's easier to control, somebody that has their own free will or someone who's already a fucking meat puppet?
They can't really do nothing about it.
Right. He says whatever he says on screen or whatever is voiced for him. That's just the conspiracy theory aspect behind it all. But there's too many fucking questions about his life expectancy past the point of diagnosis. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Wonder how many Hawkings there's been. There's 12 Lassies.
Somebody said 4.
See,
These are all conjecture, though. No one has any proof of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, what is it, the Elton John? Not Elton John.
I postulate one
Who's
thing.
the Beatle that supposedly died? You can compare pictures. And
Paul.
Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Paul is dead? You never heard of Paul is dead?
No. I'm
Oh,
still
that was a big
wondering
thing back
where
in the
Elvis
day.
Is. I haven't-
He didn't die. He just went home.
No, but one of the things that struck me the most is they showed a picture of Hawking in the 80s shortly before they think he died. And he's smiling. And you see his teeth, right? And then they show a picture of him, and then mind you, this is probably less than a year ago. They show a picture of him. And the dude has completely different teeth in the front of his head. Like, all of his front eye teeth are sticking out. And if you look at a picture of Stephen Hawking when he was younger, his eye teeth weren't like that at all. Like, they didn't look like that at all.
Dental record
Yeah.
proof.
But I don't know.
Well, I always would wonder.
Paul McCartney comparison.
So let's say. Oh, he's showing me a picture of the Paul McCartney comparison here. So what is the difference here? False Paul, real Paul. 1966, 1967. I don't know, yeah. But what would be the purpose of that? Because the band needed a new Paul. That Paul was an asshole.
They're rising stars. We need to keep them going.
Yeah.
Well, and then you think all the trouble that they had shortly through the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it. Maybe when they brought in New Paul and they were just like, hey, you all need to shut the fuck up about this and just go with it.
Right.
That's when everything just went downhill.
My Beatles trivia should be better than it is. Which one dated Yoko? That was
John.
John.
Yeah. She came in and said, Coco, you leave.
Me Corcor.
She was probably a plant as well. She was the false Paul's girlfriend to put her in on it.
Had to
bring her in. Or the handler. She was the false Paul's handler. Like a Soviet scheme.
We got a hand on his head here. What's going on there?
Middle of the Cold War.
Let's see. The left photo.
That's the one from the Addams Family.
Oh, okay.
Thing?
Yeah.
It was a thing?
Thing was the original photobomb, apparently.
He was, yeah.
Nice. So, fuck the raw.
No problem.
We didn't get really all that raw anyway, so.
No, we were just shooting the shit as we were going to do today anyway. That's what we do here. Pi Day, too,
Yeah.
3.14.
3.14.
I mean,
It's Pi Day.
Science tie-in.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. You like that?
Hawking pie. Yeah.
Pi is not real. It is illusory.
I can't, I'm still, I don't know. I'm definitely hip to the meme culture, but it blows my mind that the memes are so made that fast.
Oh, well, yeah. You're right.
Because that was probably old.
Now. And memes used to be, I remember, the MySpace days where the motivational posters.
Yeah.
That was as close as we had to memes. In my day, that was as close as we had to the memes. Was the motivational posters.
These kids go to
you
MySpace
had to search
now.
and search and search, and you might find 14. I had a folder of motivational poster ones to, put on MySpace or whatever. I thought they were hilarious. And they were pretty much the same idea, but they were nowhere. There was very few people doing that. It was a fledgling meme industry in the early 2000s.
It hadn't yet fully been born.
Yeah, and now it's, anytime you can download free meme generators, I use it for all my trolling purposes.
I just saw a picture earlier that was like several memes put into one, and it was a sloppy job, but it was still effective. Just a picture. You've seen the one of the Nazi dolphin?
Yeah.
Where it's got the Nazi armband on the dolphin hopping out of the water. And it's like, look, a dolphin. I did not see that coming.
Yep.
It had that same picture, but it had been sloppily photoshopped to have a fat corgi sitting sideways. And it said, look at that corgi in those fresh-ass Timbs. And you scroll down, and it's got a pair of struggle Timbs on. And I was like, what does it mean? But it's still amazing.
Here's the meme. Okay, and that is all spread off of a group of... And you'll see this meme trend that comes and goes. Like, now it's the person sitting behind the table that has the words below it. Change my mind or something.
Yeah.
It'll have whatever. People keep putting different ones in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is, what is that, 2 days old, 4 days? I mean, to me, I haven't seen it.
It's only a few days old, and it's already been beaten to death with every single topic that's ever faced humanity.
Yeah, it's there's really nothing more than you can do to just do a couple to make fun of your friends now that they laugh
There's
at.
more to do. Change my mind.
Well, you've got regional memes, which
Right.
I would say are me making fun of friends.
Various people.
John, Dirty, those memes. And then you've got the East Coast, West Coast meme rivalry.
Who are the Biggie and Pac of meme creation in
Yeah, where's
2018?
the Suge Knight of memes?
Man, somebody's about to get shot.
Exactly. Somebody's going to get it, and it's probably going to be the guy with the douchebag hat.
Speaking of shots fired, you just mentioned John and Aaron, who are both listeners. They should both be very afraid of getting recorded because we were just talking about deepfake earlier.
Oh, I just saw Aaron at Bullwinkle's last night when I went to eat.
Come on.
He was there eating with his family.
That's good.
That's nice.
It was a nice little family dinner, and he had a lot of people there. I didn't realize his family was so large.
Was Sam there? I heard Sam was coming back into town.
No, not at all.
He
It
was-
Zach Robertson
Oh.
and his sister,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other older adults that I didn't know what the connection was. But yes, it was nice to see Aaron out. We should get him on a live deal at one time.
We should. We have before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had him on the show a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't listen to that one.
He goes by the tag Aaron the Red on the show.
Because of his red hair.
See, now I've heard you do, like, here's messages from Aaron the Red, or those when you're, he's done something on Facebook or the webpage.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was on one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, tell me about this. Why should they be worried?
Oh, because deep fake. You just get a couple. I mean, granted, it's not going to be as good as like a What was the one we looked at earlier? What was her name?
Amelia Clark.
Yeah, her or Jessica Alba deepfake, which looks
Spot on.
premium, but there can still be a deepfake made of them. You don't have to be famous to be put into gay porn.
Think about the Running. You remember that scene in The Running Man where they make it look like Arnold Schwarzenegger goes on a shooting spree? I think it was in Running Man.
At the beginning?
It's like he's like going around shooting everybody or something like that.
When they throw him into the little system at the very... Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
This is what
It's been
deepfake
4
is,
years
basically.
since I've
Like,
seen
you can just, like, have any situation play out in front of everybody and just put someone else's face on top of it.
I don't know if we talked about that before or not, but I mean, this is the beginning, just like we were talking about the beginning of memes. But this is the beginning of, like, watching Soul walk into a PNC bank and fucking rob the place.
Yeah.
When you have no alibi.
Early, exactly. You're right. We went from crude, I did not see that dolphin coming, dolphin, to now you can frame people internationally for things.
How hard? I mean, fuck. Like,
Boston Marathon bombers.
yeah. They won't have to
pressure
have.
cookers?
They won't have to have all the security people that are appointed at various parts of the street in the Boston bombing that you can see, watching them talking into their jackets.
Well, now those the people that come for the trauma actors, now they won't even have to travel.
Right.
You know, see, here, there's
It's
a
so
government
good.
spends a fortune, Southwest Airlines, running these people around to all these traumas. Now they can just put their faces right on them.
I
They
actually,
save their money for other shit.
now that you mention it, I do remember I did see a deep fake of Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
You know what they did?
No.
They took a fake SNL skit that Alec Baldwin did as Donald Trump
Put him in it.
and then put Donald Trump. They used deepfake to actually put Donald Trump's face over it so it looked like it was Donald Trump doing a speech.
I bet those are the next evolution of memes, because while all I think about is porn, you could have like anything play out and just put somebody else's face on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be the moving pictures as it was.
Well, yeah, it's like going from the silent era to talkies.
Yeah.
You know, right now we're in the silent meme era. Old 2018, but 2050 we'll have talkies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our grandkids and great grandkids will look back and be like, I can't believe you used to just stare at a stationary meme, you
We'll have a
fucking
cool name
pioneer.
for it. Like meme noir.
Yeah.
Meme
Early-
noir. Yeah.
Early memes that people were interested in.
Eventually.
Vintage memes.
Eventually, you'll probably change the bookstore into like a meme gallery.
Well, yeah, and we'll buy and sell and trade memes. What is funny is
a
we've
meme
actually
shop.
already started talking about that. I have been loaning memes to people like, hey, let me have that meme you made as so-and-so. I'm going to make it my profile picture, and that sort of thing. Well, I've always said, I'll trade you these memes for I need a picture of this from this guy. Get it off his Facebook page. I'm not friends with him. He blocked me because he thinks I'm a bully because I make memes.
Because
of
I'm
him,
about to
obviously.
bully him.
But
Yeah.
I just can't get over the rush to continue to make memes.
I saw that the other day.
Yes.
And I was wondering about
accused of
that.
being a bully. Well,
Somebody had a picture of you, I believe, with a chewin holding up a fish that said, "Fish, don't bully."
yeah, start fishing, stop bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was accused. We were accused here at Crabapple Books of bullying.
Rightfully or wrongfully? Because really,
Wrongfully, actually, which is kind of depressing because, you know, we do a lot of bullying here. But
it's good,
we
though,
didn't get any
right?
credit because it was someone that we really didn't bully. When you have to, you know, you're not bullying someone when someone messages you and says, please stop bullying me, and you're like, who the hell is that? And you got to click on their profile and look at them
Yeah.
to figure out, and still not really sure, didn't even know his real name. So it was a matter of sad, bad coincidences, you know, that came around. He thought he was picking up, but it ended up being that people say he's schizophrenic and he has a lot of other issues. So, and he's since apologized for things. So, whatever. I think it was a schizophrenia.
Does this have to do
outbreak.
with a pirate, like a terrorist action upon the Crabapple Books website?
yeah.
There
on
was.
Facebook?
There was an attack. And they actually were going to do a live protest.
Jesus
I
Christ.
actually
Holy
got messages.
shit.
How
I
fucking
had
soft
21, and my front door was shot with a BB gun.
What the fuck?
Was it a pellet or
Noticed
a
it, pellet.
BB?
It was, well, I don't know.
Because pellets are dangerous.
Well, yes.
They're mushroom-shaped for
It was
deeper
an assault
penetration.
pellet.
Yeah.
Man.
Assault pellet rifle.
Ooh-wee.
Well, it busted. Yeah. So when I sent him a picture because he said I want an apology, blah blah, and I said I want my front door fixed, you know, and then it stopped it and everything quit and it died down, and he and a couple other people removed their posts.
Do they not consider what that's going to do to your insurance?
Well, the thing is, I'm not even going to claim anything. I'm going to wear that as a bully badge of honor from here on out. Don't mess with us.
Yeah.
But no, it was. It's funny. And what was interesting is there were people from other states. There's another internet thing where, Youngstown did a bad rating. None of those people were customers or had ever spent $1 in the store. And then one guy has 190 friends on his friend list. I looked at that right away. I was like, how many friends does this guy got? And then I was like, I'm good. There's only 190. He doesn't have like 2,000. But he still posted it, and then they shared it, and they did this and all that. And it was this guy bullies me, and I tell him to quit and whatever. I might have spoken to him twice. But what made him mad was I said he looked like Steve Buscemi in Ghost World.
Is that big
Triggered.
of a...
Triggered.
Is that big of a...
he didn't even hear it. He heard it second from another person, and that became, he bullies me by talking behind my back.
So you're an ableist.
Which it also wasn't meant to be mean or, unless you're that anti-Steve Buscemi, which I
was going to say, how could you be that anti-Steve Buscemi?
He
I love
probably
Steve
wasn't
Buscemi.
anti-Steve Buscemi, but several of the voices in his head
That's
fucking hated Steve Buscemi.
Right. He might even had the Steve Buscemi voice in his head.
Listen, you want to have some bully problems, come rate the Bones and Tubs podcast, because if I ever meet this guy, I'm going to fuck him up with my words.
Well, that's the thing. And then I got all these bad 1 stars. And then what was funny was everybody piled on like, this was the best one. I was in line. This is a guy not even from Middletown that he posted on there, and he put on his review, I was in line, and the customer in front of me that left, he used a racial slur as they left. And then the next one, and
Hashtag
they had all
me
these
too.
made up things, and you could do that to anybody. I would hate to run an actual legitimate business.
Oh, I saw that I saw someone did that recently. This woman was a realtor, and this is out in Colorado, and she posted all the screenshots of what this woman had sent to her, where she basically more or less held her hostage and said, I'm going to have all my friends send you bad reviews.
Exactly what.
Until you donate like 10% of your salary to the charity of my choice.
How about you eat a dick?
Like, what the fuck?
That was
Christ.
my response, because I had 21 messages from him and I never responded to anything. And the reason then he went that route was because, and I didn't even see him. When people send you message requests, it doesn't show up. So that was another unfortunate thing. It just all came around. I click on it, I'm like, what is going on? Here's 14. The only reason I clicked on it because I don't go to my page profile often. I had all these. I started getting these negative reviews, and I'm like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, I go over and click on the messages, and it was like, oh, message request to this guy. And all these, knock it off, blah, 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 all this stuff. It was all from about a 4-hour time period. But in that, he threatened, okay, then if you're not going to answer me, then I'm going to post it on my page.
SJW time,
do it
motherfucker.
on my Instagram. And it just started building up. You could see his anger building up. And then he posted it, and then it went nuts, and it was crazy. So I couldn't imagine. But people started saying, you're going to hurt your reputation as a business owner. You're going to this, or you're worried about your reputation, that kind of thing. Not really. I said, fuck off. It didn't matter to me. He doesn't hurt me in any way. And Facebook reviews to me aren't important. I do business everywhere, and I very rarely check any reviews because I know they're all shit because I know how customers are.
So
I went on and gave you a good review.
Yeah, Jay got me with a good review.
Anybody listening should do it too, even though he doesn't care.
Yeah. I don't care.
Because you got to counterbalance the shitty reviews that he got from people that have never been to the store before.
And the thing about reviews, like what's the one that they use for restaurants?
Yelp.
Yelp.
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime you worked in a restaurant, how many people are just you never will please them, and those are the Yelpers. Those are the people that care so much to bitch that they
and not only that, more often than not, you're going to get people who bitch more than people who actually really enjoyed their time doing it. Does that make sense?
No, exactly.
They don't because you don't think about it. You don't think, hey, maybe I should send these people a good review, even though I had a pleasant time there. But when you've had a bad time, you're like, oh, I'm going to let them know.
Well, especially when you've had exactly what you were expecting of a time. Then you really don't think about it. When you had an amazing above and beyond time, you get that amazing review, and then you get the really bad review. But there's a big group of people that are just, they're always, I've never sent food back at a restaurant in my entire life.
I don't do it either, but that's just a personal policy of mine from working in the restaurant industry.
I had raw chicken one time, I said, just make me more chicken. I'm not, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat it. It was cold in the middle, and it was pink, and I said, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat here. But I didn't just fix that more. Cook it a little bit longer. Bring it back out. I'm okay. I didn't get mad. I didn't do it. But I know a guy that loves to. He'll make waitresses cry by this isn't the right. You put my my dressing on my salad. I want it on the side.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's the same exact dressing.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't mess your dressing up, but you want to send it back. There's people that you just cannot please. Yeah. So I don't get on Yelp, and I take all that with a grain of salt, as they would, no pun intended.
Yeah, they don't.
So reviews to me are very hard. Now, I like movie reviews, that kind of stuff. Those are the things that I want reviewed.
That's different because, like, as the consumer, you want to go out and know, like, you're about to spend money on a movie, whether it's garbage or not. But the thing is, even then, you have to kind of take some of these critics' reviews with a grain of salt.
Oh,
you know
definitely.
What I mean? Because some of them are unpleasable. But sometimes, though, like, I can't say 100, like, there's some people that are adamantly like, oh, well, if a critic says a movie is shitty, then it must be really good. I don't believe that either. Because if universally speaking, all the critics are saying this is garbage, it's fucking garbage.
Well, and look at that's Oscar talk. We're right here. I mean, Oscars just happen. A lot of the movies that become Oscar bait they fill in that cast perfectly with whatever underprivileged things going on in the news right now or whatever. Some of them are just legit. An Oscar bait movie, a movie that's going just for awards,
right,
compared to a movie that was good and come out and flew under the radar that a lot of people will consider the cult classics later because the reviewers never even really gave them any time. But you got your Black Panther now that did it. But what was the other big one?
Shape of Water was a big one this year.
Shape of Water, yeah. That one kind of
that one's
Oscar
been drawing
in a
some
way,
fucking
but
delicious memes.
Such a weird idea. That movie is original and everything, and the fact that the director that did
it's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
So that dude, he's been on his shit for a while. He knows what he's doing when it comes to that kind of form of movie making. You know what I mean?
When you hear his name on something, you're going to know it's going to be up there. No different than the Three Billboards. That movie was done by the guy that did In Bruges.
I didn't see Three Billboards.
I haven't seen it yet. I've watched the trailer before it was even out.
It looked good.
I love In Bruges.
Yeah.
So I knew that was going to be a good movie. But then what was the one that they had the original sound score stuff for, which was your basic type of love and basketball? Or one of those stupid movies that is...
Air Bud. I don't know.
Air Bud would be great. But where you have an interracial couple in the inner city that's doing...
It's checking all the boxes. You know what I mean?
And that is the thing. That's why some reviewers give things really high, because it's the cool thing going on right now.
Yeah.
So you got to take that with a grain of salt when you're looking at reviews.
Like Get Out. Get Out. I don't know if anybody here's seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good movie. I mean, was it an Oscar-worthy movie? Not particularly, I don't think. I don't think it deserved the accolades that everyone was giving it. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as I was concerned, if you really want me to see it through a colorblind lens, it was just a movie. It was a horror movie.
Nowadays, it seems like the award process is just a self-congratulatory way of like the reviewers
it's a way to
each other on the back.
A way to jerk themselves off. I mean, in all
like
reality,
the film awards.
I mean, think about how many movie award shows how many different movie award things there are.
And Berlin
Film Festival, there's the SAG, Sundance, Oscars,
Film Actors Guild.
There you go.
It's a good one.
All that shit, and Golden Globes and all that shit.
TV, aren't they?
I think the Golden Globes do movies too.
I don't know. Well, they probably do made for TV.
People's Choice Award, all that shit.
Yeah, well, but you'll never have... Here's my one thing about the Oscars. I don't think you're ever going to get a comedy that's going to get an Oscar from here on out.
No.
I can't say that nothing that was a comedy didn't get an Oscar. I mean, you had good comedies from the 60s, like The Apartment, those that might have won something that were comedic in their way, but still had the top, like the Jack Lemmons and all those good actors. But I don't think you're going to get a comedy now because the Oscars have become so serious. It's about politics and race and some sort of a social justice warrior thing. And
you have to check all the boxes, basically.
Yes, to get a film made, which is really sad because we want more Caddyshack.
Just to bring it, next
just
year.
Caddyshack. Come on, man.
Just to bring it.
I don't get no respect.
A quick full circle, I don't know what the award is called, but they give the Moon Man Award to the best actor.
Oh, the Moon Man Award?
It's like the award is a golden man on the moon.
I don't know what award that would be.
I'll have to look it up.
That's a good. When you say Man on the Moon,
For fake
I immediately
science.
think of the guy from Taxi.
Yeah.
That was the great film there, which Jim Carrey was amazing in when he did the replay of Coleman or whatever. It's interesting that when you get to that upper level of award, which is what everybody wants to win, then you have to make a film just for critics instead of for the public.
Right.
It drops the general public. And that's the whole thing about the reviews. You got some critics that are going to hate everything, and you got some critics that only hate things at the time that it's trendy to be hating things.
Yeah.
Just like you said, we need more Caddyshack.
More Caddyshack. And a lot of people don't like Caddyshack because they said it was disjointed and weird and it didn't have a big theme to it, that it was a lot of small scenes that were good, that was memorable instead of the full movie. But I thought the full movie...
See, I've always liked the full movie,
Danny Noonan
The same people that say that are the same ones that aren't sure which restroom to use.
Well, those are the same people that would rather watch, not to get me wrong, but like Beer Fest or... some of these, all the scary movie knockoffs where they were doing, what was that? What was this, the one where they fake Scream? So it was Scary Movie.
Scary Movie.
Those that were just so stupid.
But
then you get
movie,
like Old School, which was a real comedy. Yeah. Comedies of our era that were really good. Old School at Will Ferrell,
Yeah.
That's a good...
Did you ever see the movie Mafia? Where it was that, in my mind... prove me wrong.
It's like a spoof on Godfather and Goodfellas.
Yeah,
and shit
I've
like
never
that.
seen that.
It's got like the most
It has
iconic
Lloyd Bridges in it, and
it's like before. I think it was before Scary Movie. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody knows.
Oh, it was way before Scary Movie.
But it was like the original spoof movie where it had taken all the Godfather movies and all the like mafioso movies and talk shit. So this one scene where this guy walks in and catches his wife getting banged out by his brother. He's like, "We weren't doing nothing." He's putting on a bathrobe. And there's a fucking, lamp halfway across the room, and his fat Italian dick knocks it over. You can't see it. But he's like, we weren't doing anything. We were just, blah, blah, blah. And then a pigeon comes in and lands on his shaft.
I haven't seen that.
But you don't see it. It's all, behind the furniture.
Right.
And shit.
There was a part, too, where
Who did that? Who was in that? Anybody?
Lloyd Bridges and
you said Lloyd Bridges, but
Jay Moore
Saturday Night Live guys or Mad TV
Jay
guys?
Moore was on it. He was on Saturday Night Live.
Jay Moore?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Jay Moore was
I don't know though.
good
I have
Jay
to
Moore
go back a little
podcast.
further on this and the whole spoof movie thing. I think the OG spoof movie is Airplane.
Yes,
Definitively.
Okay, yeah.
Because it spoofed all those disaster movies.
Well, it even did stereotype spoofs, the jive, and I loved that.
Yeah.
That was and another good Black Dynamite.
Okay, yeah.
Spoofing the
Blaxploitation, yeah.
power 70s black kung fu thing,
Yeah.
which was Black Dynamite's great.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Jay Moore, Lloyd Bridges, Olympia Dukakis, Christina Applegate.
Okay.
Christina Applegate was in it. What year was that? It's a good movie poster.
This is a funny movie.
98.
I need
Yeah.
98. All right, I'll have to
Such a
put
good
that on
movie.
my Netflix
Yeah.
There's a
queue.
part where they do like a car bomb, and the guy lives, of course, through the car bomb. So then he goes to a funeral of somebody else that probably died in a car bomb, or some mafioso for the guy that died. And he comes in, his skin's all like third-degree burns, and he's Stephen Hawking pushed in on a wheelchair. And everybody's looking at him like, "Oh, god damn, he's gross looking." And he starts eating orange slices. And his nurse is feeding him. He's like,
Okay, I remember that scene.
and then everybody starts throwing up, like all at the same time. And then I think, what were they leading the corpse in on a horse-drawn carriage? The horse throws up. They dump the body out, and it's fucking. And then the next scene you see him, he has no problem, like no scars,
I
nothing.
think my favorite scene in that movie, because now that you're making me remember it, it was a spoof of the scene in Godfather where Michael Corleone goes to see the drug dealing guy and the chief of police at the restaurant, and he's supposed to kill both
Drop
of
the
them.
cannoli
And they're like
or-
sitting there eating,
Yeah.
and he goes in and gets the gun. And I think there's a scene where he's getting the gun where he like
in
busts
the toilet.
He busts
Got
the
old pull chain toilet.
He
Yeah.
busts the toilet in the spoof scene, like in it, like water shoots everywhere. But then like he goes back out to the restaurant and he shoots them both. And one of the dudes is like a fat dude, and like he shoots him in the head, and the dude takes like 3 or 4 more bites of food real quick, and then keels over and dies.
That's perfect. That's great. I need to watch it. I've never seen that.
So good.
But see, those are the comedies that just aren't happening. There hasn't been anything that I wanted to go and see that I was really excited about.
Everybody's fucking terrified of being funny right now.
Well, most of the stuff is redo. I mean, how many times... Oh, we were just talking about Death Wish. Why do another... And then again, at least they got Bruce Willis to do a Death Wish. Most of these others that are like... what are some of the TV show stuff that they're trying to redo again?
They got like Hawaii Five-0 and shit like that.
Well, those are crazy. Why do they keep redoing that stuff?
I don't know.
And then nothing is original. I mean, they're not coming up with anything original.
But then something original does come about. I think for the most part, people do kind of give it some.
Oh yeah,
like they give it some.
That's what you're hungry
love.
for. And the only people that are doing original stuff right now aren't these big studios. They're doing Transformers 9.
It's independent
right.
stuff. It's
yes.
like okay, and I'd say in the genre where that you see that the most is in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Anything like. Any horror movie worth its salt these days is not a big studio film. It's a independent film made by a small group of people, and it's just fucking dynamite. Like a good one, just for anybody listening out there, an excellent horror film that came out in the last couple of years. It's called The Void. It's on Netflix. It was a crowdfunded film, independent film, fucking amazing. Calls back to like the times of John Carpenter and Clive Barker. It gives you that feel of like. Otherworldly shit that like is so fucking and a lot of practical effects involving fucking monsters and shit like that, like back to the old John Carpenter days. And like I said, it's
not a bunch of crazy CGI.
No,
stuff.
very little CGI. Most of it's all practical, and it's fucking amazing.
Well, and I think
Great
Netflix
film.
does a ton of stuff that's good. Netflix, these Netflix originals are actually really impressive. They're getting stuff made, especially documentaries. It was really hard to get documentaries made, until the Netflix.
I just got finished watching the Keepers. Have you seen that one?
That
about the nurse who was killed in the 60s.
Yeah,
and it's like a 7 or 8 episode documentary about them trying to find out. Like they listed all the people they think it could have been.
I saw the trailer. I think for that one, I know the Keepers. I remember that on there. I think I might have.
And I'm behind the times on this, but I am about halfway finished with Making a Murderer.
Good.
And holy shit,
talking about good. Well, you need to watch Wormwood.
I've watched Wormwood. Wormwood's really good too.
The way that was shot was amazing.
Oh yeah, where it was kind of a semi reenactment / interview process.
Well, and the reenactment was as good as a regular movie. I mean, used to when you had reenactments and things like that.
You're thinking about Rescue 911 or Unsolved Mysteries.
Or those reenactments or something from Lifetime. This was an actual well done mix of a documentary and that, and then the special effect on the graphic design work was amazing. That was a Netflix.
And I'm actually watching a true crime reenactment / interview documentary right now, like a series that reminds me more of like the Unsolved Mysteries and the Rescue 911 of its day. It's called Occult Crimes. It's actually it's good.
I watched 3 or 4. I watched a couple.
But those reenactments are more like harken back to the old kind of a little bit shitty. Yeah. But Wormwood actually has good. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have actual actors acting these scenes out. So.
Well, and the fact that they were lucky that the story was amazing. And
the
guy and the son that is actually in it is good. He's not a bumbling idiot. Like, some of the people aren't worthy. You go, especially for Unsolved Mysteries, you can't just get every family member to go in and talk about something on camera. Otherwise you get drops like hide your kids, hide your wife type stuff on there. That's just nonsense.
But this guy's done his work.
Told you not to put Nate on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
It was. He's been
touch his ears.
I don't know if you've seen Wormwood yet, but
not yet.
You're gonna want to see
it. We need to go forward. We're at the precipice right now of a thing we already talked about. We could make either a mockumentary or a full-on crime / horror movie about the murders in Middletown, Dayton.
Yeah,
we could talk about those murders. Exactly. Especially down here in Middletown, where there's so much weird unsolved stuff.
How many would you say? Because they're all like really close by.
Well, you've got. We personally had. we had a friend. I mean, she would come in and get coffee. Now, granted, she was a prostitute.
You service all kinds of people here.
Yeah,
Today's coffee is fair trade from Guatemala and French roasted.
Yeah, exactly. I have the fair trade coffee. And
You
one
can't
thing
buy
I've
it
noticed
either.
about
It's all by
prostitutes,
donation.
when a prostitute orders coffee, I don't know if this is a meth thing or what. Meth doesn't pair well with coffee. But they always pour
Know
a
that.
ton of sugar and cream and everything. She would use 9 creamers. But okay.
Jesus.
I mean, literally 8, 9.
You just became a suspect.
It was.
Do you know how much I had to pay for fucking creamer?
Yeah, exactly. There's the motive they were looking for. No, we had some prostitutes come in. Whatever. They get their coffee in the morning. They go outside.
Nobody wants to prostitute themselves without a buzz of energy.
No one's more supporter of the working woman than Crabapple Bust.
Right.
The glass ceiling we shattered.
Single
it years
mothers.
ago.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kick you off. I have a bit. So one of the things you do that I learned if I was going to start a business in a really bad neighborhood is you don't put a bench outside your store because it attracts everyone that is too drunk or high to walk the rest of the block.
Streetwalkers,
They
drug
slam
dealers.
right there, and when you have a Wi-Fi thing on the window,
yeah.
they're on the bench all day using Wi-Fi.
You need to take a hint from McDonald's and dumb that shit down.
But yes, don't let it go out.
You can't do anything on that fucking McDonald's Wi-Fi.
You just have to be right there by the McChicken
Right.
to get your Wi-Fi. Well, she would sit there and use the Wi-Fi, and then she started buying coffee. She'd buy coffee all the time. I mean, she was a paying customer and was actually a decent customer. A lot of people that come in, they want a handout. Can I get a free coffee water? She paid. Well, she ended up being murdered. Okay, and then there were 4 other women in Middletown that were murdered. One was found chopped up in Madison Township in a farm. They were doing, I don't know if they were picking the field or they were digging field tiles or whatever they were doing some sort of work. They found her body wrapped up. Strangely enough, the house that the police somehow had assumed was involved in where she had died burned twice. So once,
In case you didn't get all the evidence, burn it again.
well, the first time they backed sewer into the basement. They backed the sewer up into the basement to kill the DNA evidence on the murder because she was killed down there. Then they burned the house down. But then the police still announced that they thought they could salvage something and call on fire again. Which was also owned by a Dayton outlaw biker gang. That was the house. This is like some weird Sons of Anarchy type that's killed this hooker. You know when they go blow up the Mexican...
Yeah.
Whatever their big... and they find the 2 dead Mexican prostitutes in the basement.
Chewy or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Not Chewy. The other one. He'd fuck their mouths.
Or whatever they're called. Yeah, exactly. So that's this type of thing. So then what was funny was Tiffany had been telling me, when she come in to get her coffee in the morning, she knew these other girls that were all missing. Okay? So the other 3 have never been found. And she said, I know, and I've, talked to her sister or somehow a related sister-in-law, something, whatever they were talking about, and then Tiffany ends up dead. But Tiffany had consistently been going and talking to undercover detectives. So the funny thing about down here, and I know about the prostitutes, is the undercover detectives let them operate because they give them the information they need to get the bigger crime stuff. Because why arrest a prostitute? Because she's not going to pay her way out of jail. She's not going to show up to court. So it's just going to cost us a bunch of money if
She
you
needs
do arrest her.
taxpayer-funded food, lodging, and razors to shave her legs.
But it's better just to let them out on the street and let them live their thing than instead of us feeding them. And then when they get out, they owe a bunch of people money and they're going to get killed. I mean, that's really the thing. So I do think the police kind of understand that a little bit, and they use them. They would stop her all the time. And she told me, there's this truck is an undercover car, this Ford is an undercover.
Man, this shit's deep.
Well, she ended up dead, which was bad. But then we're talking, like I was telling you guys earlier today, Chillicothe had 4 or 5 murders. These women were thrown in the river, covered up in carpets and things. I don't think those have been solved. And then now, just coming out is the Dayton murders, where they've had 5 women found. It's funny, all these 5s. It's crazy. The 5 women found murdered in Dayton in a little bit of an area, maybe 2 miles wide, some strange neighborhood. But one started in July and then another one in September. But what kills me is the reports are suspicious. Well, one lady was shot in the back of the head.
That's pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
And then the other one was wrapped in a blue carpet and taped up, and another one was found under a door in a big thing of trash, and her face is was gone.
Well, I mean, sometimes those things happen.
Well,
They probably just overlooked the face.
Well, probably she was probably mowing her yard or sharpening her lawnmower blades and a snapper blade.
In an abandoned part of the neighborhood.
And then she fell into a carpet. It rolled up, taped up accidentally, and then bounced down into the garbage.
Who knows what you're going to find in piles of refuse?
Well, you know, the best part is the quote from the guy that said when he found the body, there was a hawk eating.
Yeah.
You know,
was that the same one that complained?
Well, it sounds like but you know, either you're on a World War I battlefield seeing birds eat people's eyeballs out, or you're in like Game of Thrones stuff. Very rarely have I ever caught a hawk eating a human.
Yeah.
That adds a
was
little
terrible
excitement
bird
to
noise.
the neighborhood. I mean, some people don't want to live there, but that sounds exciting to me.
I like to think, I wouldn't say I like to think, but I prefer to think that the hawk had many bodies in that area to choose from, and that was the freshest.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
What was the guy's complaint that he had?
Well, he said, and in the newspaper article, it said, "I'm tired of people dumping junk tires and women in this neighborhood." That was the actual Dayton Daily News quote. Tired of dumping. You know, I had a bunch of old beat-up toilets. So here's the problem with people doing renovations. You have underpaid Mexican labor doing these house flips all down through here. And then you're going to charge the Mexicans to dump things in the dump. Well, they're not going to pay to take things to the dump. So
they're going to forget them
dump
somewhere
them
else.
around in the alley.
Right.
Well, same way with a serial killer. You're not going to charge him to dump a woman. So I'm getting broken toilets and women dumped around in the neighborhood.
Right.
And it's a mess. Call city council.
I don't know. Man, blight, as it was.
Foreclosure problems. That was the big deal. It's all foreclosures.
Do you think these are all things that could be explained by gentrification? We need to look at gentrification.
Well, all you do is move some gays into the community and they'll clean it up. When you ever been to a community that was a lot of gay, like downtown Columbus?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Downtown Columbus could be as good as downtown Dayton, downtown Columbus, similar. I mean, they don't have the job aspect. They don't have they got the university. They got 2 universities. So I don't know what they're complaining, but you got this really bad area town, but those homes look exactly like the ones in Columbus, but they have a bunch of gays in there. And the gay clean everything up. I would love to have gay neighbors.
Yeah.
They have the cleanest stuff. They drive nice cars. You know,
they care about property value.
They got flags, and they all got. Well, and the best thing is they all have blinds. You know, when you're in a bad neighborhood, when the pit bull chew marks on all the blinds, and they're all hung all wild.
Yeah.
You've never been by a gay man's house that didn't have curtains.
No.
And they're, big satin, beautiful curtains. But down here, it's we got rebel flags hanging for curtains down here. That's the problem.
I've seen them.
Get some, try to gentrification. But then when you get the gays, your property taxes go up.
Well, it's because they want nice, handicapped, decorative brick sidewalk.
Oh, it's all, they'll redo the, they'll get on the city about cutting down that ginkgo tree that's hanging over on their property.
Right.
Here it's, let me tie a dog to that ginkgo tree.
Come cut this motherfucker
Come
down.
next to it. Yeah, cut my tree down.
You don't tread on me or my tree,
No,
boy.
I use them branches that fall out there to do my goose jerky. I catch at Smith Park when no one's looking.
Oh, shit.
Well, Smith Park down there had a duck. About 4 years ago, I'm down there fishing, and there's a duck with an arrow stuck through it, walking around. Still alive.
Hard
or
as
it didn't
nails.
hit any organs.
It had 4 gold
that
teeth.
doesn't happen.
And
it
and
had
a pistol,
grill.
a 38. Yeah.
Duck grill. Well, it was like 50 Cent. It only been shot one time, though.
The first time you saw it, it wasn't the duck or the arrow. It was the sound of him filing the numbers off the 38 that it had just recently acquired from an undercover police officer.
Yeah.
That may or may not have murdered these prostitutes.
Exactly. That was it. Even our ducks go hard in the paint in the middle of town.
You have to.
But yeah, I think the gentrification part is bad. I mean, they raised my property taxes this year $700, $800.
Damn it.
I'd like to blame racism.
It doubled, and it's still, there's nothing. The roads are still crap. Everything's still crap.
Yeah, I have to drive out of lane and all kinds of things to get in and out of Middletown at least twice a day, 4 days a week.
Oh, it's a mess. It's absolute, but it's millions of dollars, and that's what happens when you base your city around grant money. We got to have the handout. We need the handout. But you know what? They gave themselves raises.
Well, they needed those raises.
$10,000 raise to the city manager because he brought in Aspen Dental and some of which all that money goes. What was the ones they just built up here by the mall? Aspen Dental and B-Dubs. Mm-hmm. Aspen Dental's owned like New Jersey or something. There's where the profits are going, and it's $800, $9 an hour. What's a dental assistant make? Maybe 11.
Yeah.
I mean, they're dental assistants. They're not Stephen Hawking.
Right. They're definitely not dead or stuck in a wheelchair.
No.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, but they'll keep giving themselves raises. And Aspen Dental services a low-income community. It would be like me giving my raise to city manager because there was an extra dollar store.
Yeah. We need a Family Dollar. We have $2 Generals.
we need diversification.
We need to diversify our bonds.
And a Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Think about the time to wrap up.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Think
gotta
about
go
that
to
time.
Dollar Tree.
It's about yeah. Let's go to Dollar Tree. Everybody.
We got a fresh roll of carpet we got to throw in the lake.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you all for listening while we're here at Crab Apple Books this week.
Middletown, Ohio. Go leave him a positive like, even though he said he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I need
Do
some
it anyways.
We
five
come
star.
from the generation where bullying made you a better human being.
Yeah.
That's true.
Where you look at yourself.
But we'd like to thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank Ryan Simpson for letting us use his music on the show. We'd like to check out our Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Stitcher, Beyond Pod.
Not Stitcher yet. I
Oh.
haven't figured that one out.
Stitcher will get there. Don't worry.
What is Stitch?
It's a podcatcher.
Oh, okay. All right.
iTunes, check out our website. It just got revamped by Jess.
Ooh.
Well, anyways, we'd like to thank you all for listening. We hope you tune in next time.
We love you.
We really do.